Contrary to what many other people believe, I think that BTS is in fact underrated. They are the biggest, most famous, most hardworking and most talented group in the world. They debuted as a group 8 years ago and overcame all the adversities they encountered along the way. Today, they have managed to miraculously achieve magnificent feats such as selling out stadiums around the world and almost 30 million physical albums. To celebrate their 8th anniversary this June, they held a 2-day livestream concert called Suwuchu, which gathered 1.33 million paid viewers from 195 different nations. They had the best-selling album of 2020, which is Map of the Soul 7, and also were the most streamed and best-selling musical act of 2020. And, in only 10 months, they have been at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 with 5 songs: Dynamite, Savage Love Remix, Life Goes On, Butter and Permission to Dance. Also, Dynamite was nominated for a Grammy Award, and one of their most recent songs, Butter, happened to gain the highest numbers of streams any song has ever had on a single day on the music platform Spotify, earning 20.9 million streams. That's just to name a few. They are great and continue to grow. But still, with all that fame, achievements, and prestige earned, they are, actually, not really respected. Just to put the disrespect against them into perspective, earlier this year, they were constantly being racially attacked, and the attacks are back. For covering the song Fix You by the legendary British band Coldplay, a German radio host, upset and offended by the audacity of BTS, said, in short, that BTS was a virus, you know, that virus whose name we all know. At the height of the Stop Asian Hate movement, for not winning the Grammy Award BTS's hit Dynamite was nominated for, an American company illustrated them being beaten, defeated and desperate, while the rest of the gala attendees were represented with respect. Later, a television program in Chile made a parody of them in which they appeared as guests of the show and spoke in what would be more of a very ignorant mockery of the Chinese language than anything else. More recently, several media outlets in Latin America decided to copy and paste an article written in English by an American publication, which basically had as its main point how BTS's fans buying their music is manipulation of the charts, even though the one who wrote the article originally apologized for his poor approach before. Then, a radio station in Colombia said that BTS are famous, topping the charts and attending award shows, just because they have paid for it. They said BTS have not won anything when it comes to music awards, and they also referred to them as Chinese, and then said that the requests for permission to dance to be played came from the Korean embassy, hinting that they don't have actual fans. When confronted about it, they said that in Colombia the word Chino, which means Chinese person, is used to refer to any Asian person. Then, the radio director tweeted that he did not like BTS for, according to him, being a product of marketing. Completely refusing to apologize, saying it's just an opinion. After that, the hosts of the show announced there would be an official apology type of thing on their show. Obviously, the apology never came. In addition to wearing wigs to look like anime characters, and that one of the hosts was wearing a shirt with the rising sun flag on it, very sarcastically and laughing, they began by saying that Permission to Dance was wonderful, and then proceeded to apologize, playing the Korean version of the opening song from Dragon Ball and playing an audio taken from Google Translate in which the narrator, speaking in Korean, actually said a lot of things about tamales and empanadas. And all of this while playing as background music the national anthem of Korea. The word disrespect is an understatement. Again, and sadly, that's just to name a few. They deserve more as artists, but, above all, as human beings. It's basic human decency. BTS are not just the excellent, fun and charismatic performers that many people might have seen for the very first time last year when they were promoting their successful Dynamite. As mentioned before, it's been 8 years since they debuted as a group in Korea, and 4 years since they stomped in the United States. They are not new to the scene, as it has been said all this time. BTS is made up of 7 members. 7 young Korean men with an artistic past and path. Kim Namjoon, also known as RM, dreamed of becoming a prose and poetry writer when he was younger, until he found rap and hip-hop and dedicated himself to it from the young age of 13, becoming a very well-known and respected underground rapper in the local amateur hip-hop circles. He was such a good songwriter and rapper that it was the actual CEO of their company who approached him, and signed him instantly. Since that time, he has been constantly applauded for his lyricism and delivery, which can be appreciated in his two fascinating and successful bodies of work, the mixtape RM, released in 2015.
머리 같은 haters 나를 죽여 나를 묶어 나를 숙연하게 만들어 I'm so super I just grew up 그지 같은 모더 섞어 motherfucker 싹 다 섞어 손발에 꺾어 시켜 섞어 시켜 쩍거리 쩍어
and Mono, released in 2018.
열심히 살아댔네 려놓고 싶다면 또 다른 줄을 달아 생각하지 말자 생각조차 생각이잖아 you know 사실은 우린 이런 운명이란 걸 끝없는 고통 속에 웃는 거란 걸 자유란 말하는 순간 자유는 없어 you know do you know 다른 시간 내 영혼의 눈으로 저 밤하늘을 봐 너에겐 보여줄 거야 너의 창노의 시간 알고 있니 저 가로등에 또 가시가 많아 설명멸하는 자세히 하고 쳐다봐야 하는 게 참 잔인하지 않니 누구의 가시들이 모여 펼쳐진 장관에 분명 누군가 너의 가시를 보며 위로 받겠지 우리 서로의 약동 서로의 다.
As we also know, he's the leader of BTS. What means that, as well as his artistic talents, his professionalism and leadership are also highly recognized all over the world.
No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself.
Kim Seok-jin, also known as simply Jin, found himself drawn to acting when he was younger, so he studied and graduated as a theater and film major at Konkuk University. As he joined BTS, he could exploit his acting skills through their music videos and content from their alternative universe and their BTS World video game. He also became more interested in music, learning to play piano and guitar, and, of course, studying singing, making it hard to believe that he hasn't sung forever, considering all the emotion he can transmit while singing, as well as the clean notes that he can reach, hitting triple high notes with ease. His voice has seen the most growth over the years and, recognized as the silver voice, his vocals are by far one of the most stable you can hear on any live performer. Min Yoongi, also known as Suga, and also known as Auguste, was an underground rapper before joining BTS. Inspired by the Korean hip-hop scene, he began writing his first bars at the age of 13, while learning how to compose and produce music at the same time. Being into the field, he realized that perhaps as a rapper he would not have enough financial stability, so initially his goal in joining Big Hit was to be a music producer. As we now know, he ended up being part of the BTS rap line, which is technically the best there is among Korean idol groups. He currently has 2 mixtapes out under his pseudonym Auguste, one Ominem, released in 2016. And his second, D2, which came out in 2020. And his ability to convey all kinds of emotions through his lyrics has led him to be praised and sought after, both as a rapper and as a producer. Jung Ho-seok, also known as J-Hope, was a young dancer with dreams of being on stage. At the age of 10, he began taking dance classes, focusing on the urban branch of it. He was also part of an underground dance group, being so well known that, before debuting, BTS was called the group with Chung Hoseok. After signing with Big Hit, he lived with RM and Suga, who together with him, formed BTS's rap line. They both being already rappers, taught him about music, especially hip-hop. In this way, he developed a beyond dance strong interest and bond to this genre, and today, he is BTS's main dancer and one of the most complete and charismatic artists in Korea, if not the most, knowing how to write, compose, produce, choreograph, dance, sing, and, of course rap, being able to change the flow 4 times in less than 30 seconds. He currently has 1 mixtape and 1 single song out, and those are Hope World, released in 2018, and Chicken Noodle Soup, which dropped in 2019. Park Jimin, also known as simply Jimin, was also a dancer who dreamed of performing before joining BTS. He started his path at age 14 with contemporary dance. Even without having attended dance classes from a younger age, his innate and natural talent makes him without a doubt one of the best and most impressive dancers anyone can ever see. His dancing is at the verge of perfection. It was thanks to his out-of-this-world ability that one of his teachers was the one who suggested that he audition, and the rest is history. After joining Big Hit as a trainee and finally debuting with BTS, his attention and passion diversified, showcasing a voice color that is pretty versatile and practically unique in the world. His excellent falsetto voice is instantly recognizable, and he can get to sing 4 notes higher than an average man. Kim Taehyung, also known as V, always wanted to perform. He started studying and playing the saxophone at the age of 13 after his dad told him that, if he wanted to become a singer, he had to learn a musical instrument first, thus developing perfect pitch, which is a rare ability of a person to identify or recreate a given musical note without the benefit of a reference tone. After fulfilling his dream of joining BTS, it was when he fully immersed himself in learning to dance, while also exploiting and taking advantage of his very distinctive and soulful voice. Just as his other BTS members, to this day, he has successfully written, composed and produced beautiful songs, constantly cementing and honing all of his artistic skills and interests. And when it comes to dancing and performing, he's known as the idol of idols, thanks to his spectacular, almost theatrical staging. Chan Jungkook, also known as simply Jungkook, despite never having attended singing or dance classes as a child, is now an all-rounder. At the age of 13 he attended a talent show audition and blew everyone's mind with his voice. As a matter of fact, he did not pass the auditions and could not compete in any level of the show. On the other hand, he left that place that day with 7 different business cards from entertainment companies wanting to sign him. He finally settled on Big Hit, and that's when his education and professional training in singing and dancing began. Today he is a great dancer and also the lead singer of BTS.
피디님 이걸로 바꿔도 될까요?
어디?
녹음했던데 뒷부분에 이렇게 해보겠습니다. 그냥 후로 하겠습니다.
그러면 이렇게 되면은
In constant improvement and always hungry to outdo himself, he's able to perform at a 100%, maintaining a stable voice and sharp dance moves even in the most exhausting moments on stage, making him stand out as an exceptional performer. So, that was a bit of what the artistical drive of each BTS member was before they became part of the supergroup we know today. Now, taking into account that they are and have been passionate about what they do, in constant training and artistic growth since an average age of 13, and seeing the excellent musical results that the union of these 7 human beings has given, why are they not respected as artists? Well, they're not even respected as human beings to begin with. Like all extremely successful and therefore famous people, they experience hateful, absurd comments every single day. That's nothing new when you're that big, we know it. But the fact that they are Asian also comes into play whenever the haters hate. And that's when human decency seems to completely stop existing within these miserable people. They are often accused of being responsible for bringing the coronavirus to the US in 2020 when they attended the Grammys. They are constantly being linked to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. They face demasculinization and misgendering. They have their language and their names mocked, and the list goes on and on and on. Trolls or no, the consequences of all this hatred they receive are real. They are human beings just like me and you. Yes, they do not read all of those comments, at this point they couldn't care less.
Adorable representative MC for you.
I love you, BTS.
But the armies are the ones who are always there defending them. And this is not mentally nor emotionally good for such a huge amount of people, far less for all those who are Asian themselves, which is a great part of the fandom.
We're like aliens to the music industry for America. So we don't know if there's a place for us or not. And as well.
In 2019, when BTS sold out their Speak Yourself Stadium tour within hours, Billboard didn't report about it. No coverage. Nothing. They didn't sold out only one stadium only once. They sold out several stadiums, and they did it twice. Billboard didn't say a thing on any of the two occasions they could have. Then in 2020, there was Billboard detailing why Dynamite stayed on top of the Hot 100 chart 2 weeks in a row, explaining it was the remixes effect, while they never did that with other songs that debuted at #1 thanks to remixes, or worst, merch bundles. Later, the same Billboard account chose very humiliating words on Twitter to describe the fall of BTS's song, Life Goes on the chart, despite, again, never using this shameful language when this happened to other artists' songs before and after Life Goes On. In 2021, there's Spotify, filtering 50% of the 20.9 million streams Butter received on its first day, so the artist they've been promoting for weeks could stay at the top of their daily global top 50 chart. We have music and entertainment magazines constantly grouping them with other Korean groups that have no correlation to their career nor impact whatsoever, the media constantly saying they're a sensation, a phenomenon, a new thing, for more than 4 years now. Billboard cancelling the top social chart, the Brits imposing the Best International Group category, Grammys not allowing artists to present their numbers to be considered for nominations. The supposed Twitter pop news accounts being completely silent whenever they achieve anything great. People only talking about BTS's supposed losses only, or making a fuss out of a happy BTS song just because they didn't like it. People constantly questioning their success, fame, fans, sales and basically all of their achievements when the same energy isn't there for any other artist. The Grammys completely using them and their fans for clout, and giving them nothing.
How you feeling?
Good.
Again, the list goes on and on and on. Both the Korean and Western industry, media, and people from other fandoms have wanted to ignore and turn a blind eye on them so many times it's ridiculous. When they debuted, not being from a large company but one that was on the verge of bankruptcy, with very little money and with no connections, they were treated like complete garbage. They proved to be sheer excellence from day one, but their enormous talent, coupled with their lack of budget, made them, as a group, a source of ridicule. People were threatened. They were fresh. Their music was good, their dancing was good, the rap and the singing were good, their stage presence was good, they had an unusual concept, a different meaningful message, and their synchronization was ridiculous. They tried to drag them down constantly. They were heavily criticized for their group name, for being physically ugly by Korean standards of how a boy from a group should look, for having cheap clothes and jewelry, among others.
최근에 선배님이 막 말 걸어주신 건 기억나네요. 옷에 쓰여있는 거 무슨 뭐냐고. 돈 없어가지고 16,000원짜리 후드티에 프린팅 해가지고 뭔지 몰라가지고 말을 못 해드렸었는데 아무튼.
They were falsely accused of having plagiarized such things as concepts or stage setups and manipulating local music charts, which, incidentally, started a hate bandwagon everyone hopped on. All repeatedly in their first 3 years of career. Even recently, after their Grammy nomination got announced, Kim Youngda, a music critic, had to go to Korean TV shows to actually explain the magnitude of what a Grammy nomination meant for BTS as a Korean musical act. One of the hosts even said she thought it was no big deal just because it was in the pop duo/group performance category and not in the Song of the Year one. Everyone felt threatened back then, and they still feel. What else could cause such hatred and
올라갔어요.
mistreatment?
동양계 가수가 이 그래미의 주류 장르에 후보로 올라간 건 처음이라고 그랬죠.
맞아요. 그래미가 이제 여러 가지 분야가 있어요. 이제 제너럴 필드라 그래서 올해 앨범, 올해 레코드, 올해 노래, 장르를 이제 떠나서 주요 제너럴 필드라고 불러요. 그 외에는 이제 장르 분야라 그래서 뭐 팝, R&B, 힙합, 재즈 이런 식으로 음악 장르마다 후보를 올리고 시상을 하는 게 있는데 그 중에서 이번에 BTS가 오른 그 장르는요 팝이에요. 팝, 베스트 팝 듀오 그룹 그러니까 팝 부문에서 최고의 듀오 혹은 그룹의 이제 상을 듀오나 그렇습니다. 근데 오늘 정말 하루 종일 기자님들하고 통화를 했는데 제가 통화를 하면서 저만이 느끼는 어떤 뉘앙스 때문에 사실 제가 좀 빡쳐가 죄송합니다. 좀 불편해서 사실은 그 말을 좀 해야 되겠다라고 좀 제가 작정을 했어요.
기자들의 질문을 받다가
그렇습니다.
빡친 부분이 있었다.
그러니까 이런 거예요. 이거는 주요 부문이 아니죠. 이거부터 이제 물어보시는 거예요.
기자들이 전화해서
그렇죠.
이 부분 아니잖아요.
네네네.
왜 그렇게 물어보지? 마치 주요 부분이 아니어야 하는 것처럼 물어보는 거 아니야?
지금 받은 게 그렇게 대수로운 장르는 아니잖아.
그러니까 BTS가 그래미 후보 올랐다는데 그게 뭐 이렇게 대단한 장르나 뭐 후보에 오른 건 아니잖아요.
그러니까
라고 미리 전장 물어보는 거죠.
이게 그렇게 대단한 건 아니죠? 라는 식의
제가 오늘 묻고 싶은 이 대목이었거든요. 제가 평소에 궁금했던 대목이 뭐냐면 BTS가 만들어내는 글로벌한 현상이 있잖아요. 여기서 여러 번 다뤘지만 그 뉴스의 크기에 비해서 국내 기사는 상대적으로 적당한 인상을 항상 받았거든. 예를 들어서 김연아 어마어마한 양이 나오는 거야. 왜? 세계적 인정을 받았으니까 기분이 좋잖아. BTS는 그 버금갈 정도의 현상을 지속적으로 만들었는데 거기에 비하자면 아주 수량이 좀 적다. 호들갑 떨고 그렇게 좋아하는 이 미디어들이 왜 이럴까?
The media, spoiled darlings of the big entertainment companies, had to talk crap about them, or simply not talk in order to make them disappear and, therefore, stop being competition. Then, there are the fans of other artists. They went and still go crazy over BTS's mere existence, doing such things as massively showing them the middle finger at awards shows while BTS was on stage, trending hate hashtags on Twitter, wishing very bad things to happen to them, spreading false and very delicate rumors, etc., etc., etc. That was in Korea. So, what happened in the West? Based on the fact that they are Asians, who sing and speak in their language, who act according to their culture, and that this part of the world is full of racists, you can already imagine. During these past 4 years that they have been strongly present in the American music scene, the scene that dictates, whether we like it or not, what the world listens to, there has been the media and therefore the consumers constantly trying to minimize and encapsulate BTS as inferior to American and Western artists in general. A sensation, a phenomenon, a passing fever is what BTS is to them.
Biggest Korean pop sensation ever. They're making their American TV performance debut.
BTS guys, it seems like they're new on the scene and maybe this K-pop is really making a stand here in the US.
They were well received until they began to show that they were competition, a really strong one. And, you know how the story goes, everyone loves and supports something when they feel it's still below them, under their control. An entirely racist thing in BTS's case. But then, when you grow and progress, you start to annoy and bother people who once were happy with what they thought was a little piece of success or 15 minutes of fame. Even in the very year of 2021, after 8 years of career, having till this day 5 #1 albums and 5 #1 songs in the United States, stadiums completely sold out under minutes, constant appearances on American TV shows and awards, and an enormous impact, they're being labeled as new on national television and they have their success being questioned often. To put things into perspective, Ariana Grande and BTS both dropped their debut album in 2013. Now imagine calling Ariana Grande new. Imagine calling Mariah Carey new in 1998, for example. They don't even try. They do not research. They just act as if they're doing these unimportant boys from very far away some kind of favor, when it's actually the other way around, and they know it. Neither the media nor the industry are favored by BTS's unprecedented success. Nobody expected it with them having such humble beginnings, far less after all the times they tried to drag them down. BTS has come this far, and will continue to do so on their own merit. Because their fans have been there for them no matter what. That's why ARMY is the most powerful fandom in the world. We've unconsciously trained ourselves to be like this since the beginning of each of our journeys with BTS. We have had to fight for years against gales and tides of malicious people and their malicious comments that have never stopped, while also trying to get BTS higher, and higher, and higher, because BTS deserves it.
소리 질러
Did you know that it was the armies who asked Target in the United States to sell BTS's albums? Which, therefore, has benefited the whole Korean music industry because, before this, no albums of any Korean act were sold there. Which brings me to my next point on how parasite-like the supposed worldwide growth of Korean music has been.
What are some other K-pop bands that you guys think might break in America? Who are you excited about? Who do you listen to?
이 K-pop 밴드들 중에 우리가 좀 듣거나 혹은 뭐 좀 좋아하는 분들이 있을까요?
K-pop band? BTS? maybe BTS. Yes. BTS. 방탄소년단, you know? Yes. Yeah. I love BTS. BTS.
Are you guys?
At the beginning of the strong promotion of BTS in the United States, as I mentioned before, the media felt that they had the power over them, that they controlled the narrative. BTS's success has been unimaginable, so they've been called the same names for more than 4 years in a row, because they don't know what else to do or what else to say. They do not know how to act. Everyone thought it was temporary. But isn't that ignorant? Why don't you just join in and appreciate them as artists? One of the methods that I believe the media uses to continue trying, unsuccessfully, to keep BTS underground has been the constant bringing into the conversation other Korean acts when talking about BTS. They want the viewer to believe that BTS is simply one of the bunch, and that the entire music industry in Korea is an elaborate plan, a group project, and all of their achievements are K-pop's achievements, which is of course false, and even racist. They have previously been machined in the weird, crazy and dark entertainment industry of that Asian country that we don't even know how to place on the map. Unlike our very important Western artists that are organic fine art. Also, the same K-pop industry and K-pop fans that made BTS first years a living hell are now the first ones ready to get their piece of cake whenever BTS are featured anywhere or achieve anything. Meanwhile, they're also crossing their fingers for BTS to fall, only for their groups to impersonate them. Isn't that unfair? Isn't it ironic? Of their Korean peers, only like a 10% of them acknowledges BTS as the trailblazers waypavers they are, while enjoying appearing in YouTube videos and having fans abroad thanks to the success of BTS and the efforts of armies. The gigantic BTS, responsible for the increasing global interest in Korea's industries such as K-dramas.
방탄소년단. 너 BTS 뮤직비디오 보는 거 내가 다 봤거든?
K-beauty, K-fashion.
When BTS wears a sweatshirt, the next day it's all sold out. I'm not joking.
Korean music in general and the Korean culture and language itself.
라.
마바사. Looks like a constructions, you know?
애みたいな.
아트 아는 것 같아서 배우고 싶었었어요.
사람. 사랑.
Ça se ressemble beaucoup quand même.
사람 is human. 사랑 is love. That's so lovely.
사랑해.
If you listen carefully, it's actually a different word. By learning Korean, I can learn a new culture, and also we can't really connect with others as well. 한국어를 시작하는 즐거움.
Those guys are the ones no one wants to mention. In 2019, that year that seems to be far away, when there was no global chaos and people traveled the world, tourism in Korea increased by 14.05%, and 1 of 13 tourists visited simply because of BTS. The same year, BTS brought $4 billion to the Korean economy. In fact, in 2020, before Dynamite came out, it was already being calculated that thanks to them and their song, the economy would earn $1 billion. Everything they do is a win for an entire nation. They're beyond any other musical act right now, and I'm talking globally. But the media still feels the need to group them with other K-pop acts that aren't even charting on the biggest music platform in Korea, Melon, just because they're Korean. That's their reason. And it's Western media the ones that are constantly naming them alongside other Korean groups. It's an effort to minimize BTS's impact and artistry just to the way they look. It's alienating them from being named with other artists their size, like Ariana Grande or Bad Bunny, just because they look different and are from an Asian country, so, no way. They can't be on the same league, even though they have the numbers to be side by side. Being compared to actual competition would mean Western media having to accept that an Asian artist is dominating, so they will always try to prevent that from happening. Media are also responsible for making people believe their success was overnight. BTS have been working together for over a decade, debuted 8 years ago, and have dropped an average of 2 excellent albums every year since 2013. Do you think it's respectful to call them new to the industry? Making the public, who doesn't know really well, believe that the ramifications of their efforts happened overnight? Constantly trying to erase all of their impact just because they don't know any better, and they don't want to know any better. Then, there's the disrespect BTS face on a daily basis, courtesy of K-poppies and Western fans. K-poppies, which is how ARMYs call those K-pop fans that are obviously bitter towards BTS, have wanted to make themselves believe BTS are only famous abroad, that they don't have any kind of power in Korea. While fans of Western artists have been lying to themselves as well, but with them is the BTS are only famous in Korea narrative. Typical hater behavior, having trouble choosing a specific reason to back up the hate, having trouble picking a side. BTS are the biggest musical act there is. These beliefs only exist as a consequence of their insecurities as fans of other artists that are not in BTS's league, not only when it comes to actual numbers but the global cultural and social impact. Again, it is clear that BTS is indeed a threat to their egos. While preparing this next point, I was reminded of techno-Orientalism, the much internalized phenomenon of imagining Asia and Asians in hypo or hyper-technological terms in cultural productions and political discourse. And about this, I'm gonna read a part of an article, written by Chloe Kong. When the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was being debated in the US, it was argued that the Chinese male body was different to the American male body for being able to withstand more physical deprivations. Asian peoples in the United States were valued for their labor, but weren't given the same rights for safety, sustenance, and shelter that European bodies received because Asians were constructed in the Western mind as expendable technology in an effort to preserve Western righteousness for their laws and exclusion acts. The idea of expendable technology evolved, it did not go away. The Western world may have equal laws now, but there is no shortage of remarks in Western media and society about how workers in Asian factories are machines. Effectively, fears today in the West of jobs being stolen by Asians are not just an economic fear but also one of humanistic integrity. How could they let their livelihood be taken by an inorganic, technologically infused person, who couldn't put the same heart in as they do? BTS is seen as machines, robots, computerized entities that haven't gotten this far on their own, whose success was planned step by step. They, it seems, cannot willingly do what they are passionate about because they simply do not have a soul. Many of you may wonder about this feeling being partly good. Doesn't it mean they're so perfect that they don't look real? Yes. Of course, it is good that people think that they are excellent on stage, but when this feeling turns into thinking that they are machine-like, which often happens in the mind of Western people, it is trying to reduce them, which is, again, highly racist and also instantly dehumanizes them.
Like it's fake, it's so good. It looks like a movie, like they look like they're robots, like who are like professional, like really awesome dancers. And
they are 7 young men who, despite having been exceptional at the very beginning of their careers, are constantly looking to improve themselves. I wonder why people can't accept their talent as, for example, we all do with Beyoncé as a performer. They do train and practice a lot just as every other well-known performer does. Something those who want to deny BTS's success and impact cling to is the fact that they are K-pop. So, 1, there are a million groups like them in Korea, and 2, it's all overproduced and overplanned.
That's all you can say. Can you come up with something else? Can you come up with something else?
Here we go again. Yes, they are a Korean group that sings, dances and raps. Fulfills all the characteristics of what people think K-pop is, and when the general hater finds out about this, they assume that BTS have nothing special and that they were only the lucky ones of the bunch to become famous worldwide. They're not individuals, they're not really talented, they're just a product of the K-pop fabric, so we're not going to support them as excellent performers like we do with our beloved and respectable Western artists, right? So yes, I stand by my opinion that BTS is actually underrated, opposed to the whole BTS is overrated thingy that's been going on since those boys stepped in the United States. I don't even want to go very deep doing some kind of research on the word. I will only say that as a young woman, I have seen the word overrated explode on the internet and not stop being used every time someone wants to express the disgust they feel towards something or someone, covering up the fact that they actually mean, I don't like this or that, with something that sounds more edgy, but is in fact boring. In conclusion, they are awesome performers, terrific artists, and above all excellent human beings. They are a group made up of great rappers, dancers and singers. They're extremely talented, passionate, and professional. Their discography, of which I will speak on other videos, is outstanding, superior, remarkable. Their stage presence is immaculate.
Is you ready for this? Is you ready to get hyped up? Come on. Let's go!
They have experimented with a lot of musical genres, and they have done it optimally. They started as a hip-hop group back in 2013 and now, they're recognized as a pop act. So what about it? The fact that their most successful song to date, Dynamite, is not a piece of classical music shouldn't detract from the song, the genre, or them as artists, right? The fact that they are not a symphony orchestra does not make them not geniuses. Right? They know how to convey emotions, feelings and messages through their songs. They are still stage hungry and, with everything against them in the past, having come this far is a miracle. This success story is something BTS and ARMY will continue on. Despite being so young, they are living legends and represent more than just a famous boy band. Will they ever be respected and supported as they deserve? This is not a video to victimize or infantilize them. The inspiration came from all those people who talk crap about them every single day without BTS having given any motive beyond their existence as distinctly Asian artists, and then want to act offended and insulted when ARMYs respond with the same energy, and from all the obvious tactics that the music industry and the media have taken to stop their success since they are artists who do give themselves their place. Certain specific names weren't mentioned because it is not worth it. The people guilty of all this know who they are, what they did and why they did it.
여러분들에게 감사하다고 얘기하고 싶고요. 저희 정말로 열심히 곡을 만듭니다. 다음 앨범에도 좋은 음악 들고 나타날 거고, 많은 분들이 여기에 계신 아티스트 분들도 그렇고, 뭐 정말 많은 분들이 좋은 노래를 만들고 계신데요. 그 노래들이 정말 다 인정받고 많이 들어주는 그런 세상이 왔으면 좋겠습니다. 부정적인 방법도 좋지만 조금 더 정직한 방법으로 좋은 음악을 만드는 게 어떨까요? 모두 다 좋은 음악을 하고 좋은 음악을 듣는 그런 시대가 왔으면 좋겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Respect BTS.